The Death Star is the Empire's greatest weapon against the remaining Jedi in the galaxy. It's able to blow up planets, store an entire fleet of ships, protect the Empire's elite from that pesky Luke Skywalker. Truly, it's one of the greatest structures built in sci-fi. But would it be possible for us to build a Death Star in real life? So what are we dealing with? Well, in the Star Wars films, the Rebel Alliance, led by Luke Skywalker, blew up 2 Death Stars. But these 2 ships weren't identical to each other. The first one to be built was around 120 kilometers wide, and the second was 160 kilometers wide. To put this into perspective, this is around 1/20th the size of the Moon, or 8 times the size of Mars' largest moon, Phobos. Luke Skywalker famously mistook the Death Star for a moon, and 160 kilometers across, you can understand why. In fact, it's so big that it contains an entire fleet of ships which you can send out to fight the Rebel Alliance. It houses hundreds of thousands of workers and stormtroopers, and contains one of the deadliest weapons in the galaxy, a super laser. So, could you build a space station the size of a small moon? Well, the biggest space station we've ever built is the International Space Station, which is around 100 meters across by 20 meters high. Now this means that the Death Star is over 1,500 times larger than the International Space Station. So let's make some assumptions about what a Death Star is made out of. Let's assume it's made out of steel, which is really strong, which should help protect it from lasers and missiles. And let's say we want it to be around 20 centimeters thick, which will make it really nice and strong. So, if you want to build a Death Star out of steel, 20 centimeters thick and 160 kilometers wide, that would take over 60 billion meters cubed of steel. To put that into perspective, that's over 20,000 times the size of the Great Pyramid of Giza. It would weigh around 400 million kilograms. And that's just the outer shell. That doesn't include anything on the inside, such as walls, floors, or any other equipment. And getting your hands on 60 billion meters cubed of steel down here on Earth isn't exactly easy. Every single year we produce around 237 million meters cubed of steel. What this means is it would take nearly 250 years at our current rate to produce enough steel to build a Death Star. So let's assume somehow we get our hands on 60 billion meters cubed of steel. How much is this going to cost us? Well, steel costs around $170 per ton. This means that all the steel we need just to build the outer shell of the Death Star would be $80 trillion. That's a huge amount of money. But how much? Well, it's about as much money as the entire world makes as a whole by selling goods and services every single year. And that's just the cost to build it. Let's say we want around 300,000 staff on board, consisting of workers and stormtroopers. This would cost us around £6 billion per year in salaries alone. Then we have to heat it, give all the workers food and water. Running a Death Star isn't cheap. But surprisingly, the biggest problem might not be how to get all this material, but how to get it up into space. The International Space Station was built in small parts down here on Earth, which was sent up and assembled into space to assemble the final full International Space Station. But the International Space Station only weighs around 400,000 kilograms. A Death Star would weigh over 1 billion times that. So, how can we get all the material up into space? Well, we could try and design better spaceships like they have in Star Wars, which would be able to take more resources up into space. Then again, maybe we could find the resources in space itself. You see, asteroids and comets are thought to contain large amounts of metal within them. We could mine this metal and use that to build our Death Star. But then again, mining an asteroid or a comet isn't exactly cheap or easy. So let's say you manage to get enough resources to build yourself a Death Star. There's still one more thing you need to build. A super laser, capable of blowing up planets. Now thankfully we don't have any lasers down here on Earth already that are able to blow up planets. But how close are we to be able to get one of these types of lasers? Scientists have estimated that the amount of energy you need to blow up an Earth-sized planet with a laser would be around 10 to the power of 32 joules of energy. That's a 1 with 32 zeros after it. Now this is about the same energy that the sun produces an entire week, which means to power a Death Star laser, you need to harness the energy from several hundreds or thousands of suns. The most powerful laser we have at the moment only produces around 10 to the power of 15 joules of energy. To get enough energy to blow up a planet then, we'd have to point this laser at the planet for around 3 billion years. So it's obvious we don't have a powerful enough laser yet to blow up a planet. But that is probably a good thing. So, could we build a Death Star? Well, it would cost us a lot of money, a lot of manpower, and it's going to be really tricky getting all the material up to space to build it in the first place. But it's not impossible, just very, very tricky. But then again, we all know how easy it is for the Rebel Alliance to blow up a Death Star, so maybe it's just not worth it in the end. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to check out the rest of my channel for some great science videos, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Otherwise, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys all soon.